Welcome to Catholic Focus. I am Kudakwashe Matambo. In October 2021, the Holy Father Pope Francis launched the Synod on Synodality. The synodal process is meant to give an opportunity for the entire people of God to discern together how to move forward on the path towards being a more synodal church in the long term. This synodal process was launched in local dioceses in October 2021, focusing on three key pillars: communion, participation, and mission. After the local stage, we should see in the coming months discussions at the continental and universal stage. The way this synodal process is being conducted is slightly different from how Synod of Bishops were held in the past. So the process was and is marked by risks and opportunities. Today, we are talking to Fr Mgcini Moyo, the director of the National Pastoral Center Commission in Zimbabwe, and also the contact person, to discuss how the process has been going in Zimbabwe and also how it affects how the local church will move forward from today. Fr Mgcini, welcome.
Thank you.
Maybe we can start by you explaining to us what is the main role of the National Pastoral Commission.
The National Pastoral Commission is responsible for coordinating the work of evangelization, catechesis, liturgy and worship in Zimbabwe. But in this case, the Commission was given the task to coordinate this synodal process. As a National Pastoral Center, we are composed of a team that has representatives from each diocese. That is, all pastoral vicars or coordinators of dioceses make up this national pastoral team, which at the national level then is coordinated by the National Pastoral Director or Coordinator, who is myself. So when the synodal process started, the bishops identified the pastoral team to take lead and to coordinate the whole process, which means that the national coordinator was given the responsibility to be the national contact person, and each diocesan pastoral coordinator was given the responsibility to be the diocesan contact person. So what have we done as this national coordinating team of the synodal process? We're responsible for letting people know and inviting everyone to participate in the synodal process. All people, parishes, other churches as well, men and women, youth, the widows, everyone, and particularly the marginalized, the disabled, those people living with disability and so forth.
Mm-hmm. So let's go back a little bit and break this down. Synod on synodality. What does it mean? And I mean, what is this process aimed at? We heard earlier on that on the official side of this process is that of the Synod, it said this process is supposed to help people to discern how to move forward together. But exactly what does it mean also in terms of the local church?
Yes. The synodal process really is an effort by the church to be true to her identity. The church is called to be in a church of communion, a church of participation, and a church in mission. So this process seeks to build such a church, a synodal church, where everyone feels that they are responsible for the church, for the mission of the church, and for promoting this communion, for playing their role, for participating, and also for evangelizing. The number of important characteristics or elements of the synodal church, like a church which listens. We are trying to build a culture of listening in the church, where everyone is listened to. We're trying to build, again, a synodal culture of transparency. We're trying to build a synodal culture of collaboration, a culture of discerning and deciding in such a way that everyone feels that they are responsible for the church, not that responsibility even of governing is just left to a few, but also that even those the lay people have an important role to play in the ministries in the church and also even in church governance. So there is a lot, really.
People usually say the word the church is everyone, the church is you, is usually conveniently used. Are you happy? Are you satisfied about the contributions of the people? Have we listened to everyone in this particular process?
I would say, looking at the responses, the feedback from the people, a lot has been done. People have spoken out. Different voices have been heard, have been listened to. But I have to also admit that not everyone has had the opportunity to speak out. So the process is ongoing. And even this Continental Stage actually says, let us try and actually go back to those people, those voices that could have been missed out, those marginal voices. So yes, there are, as we say in the national document, there are weeds and seeds to eat. And some of the weeds have been that some people still have not been listened to. But I would say the majority have spoken.
Okay. Speaking of the national synthesis documents that was released and launched by the Bishops' Conference, what are some of the key issues that are coming out? And what is this document saying about the whole process?
A beautiful document, really, this national synthesis document, which put together the voices of the people from the 8 dioceses and also from other groups that communicated directly with the national office. The first thing is there is an appreciation that we are not yet where we want to be or where the Lord wants us to be as a church. We are not yet a truly synodal church. So there are weeds to this to the synodal process or the synodal nature of the church. But also there's an appreciation of the seeds and the fruits that in some of our structures, in the way of doing things, already the synodal spirit is there. So there are weeds and seeds to eat. So there was an identification. The voices identified areas where we have to improve, we have to grow. And we're saying like what the Spirit said to the people about where God wants us to go as a church. There are a number of areas. The collaboration, that we have to collaborate more. This collaboration working together between the laity, the ordained, and the consecrated people. And we have to be more inclusive as well, as the theme of the Continental Synodal document, to enlarge the space of our tent, to include those marginalized people and the voices like women, like consecrated women, make that clear. We have the young people. We also have people living with disability, even some people like the LGBT community or individuals. So there is a number of areas where we need to improve, particularly in including those people who feel marginalized.
Have the bishops met and discussed this document and also some of the issues coming out from this?
Since the launch of the synodal process, the bishops are working. The bishops are meeting, the bishops are praying, they are discerning. I shall tell you that in every meeting that they've had since the launch of the process, they discuss about the synod. The bishops are very much interested and they are taking the lead in trying to build a more synodal church in Zimbabwe. Recently, they asked us even to make a research based on the findings of the National Synthesis document on a particular topic. And they're going ahead and they're saying, look, this is what our people have said, and to address these issues. And they are happy that people have been able to be given this opportunity and space to speak out openly.
And these researches have already started?
Yes, actually, the first document will be published soon. Research has been done, and we're just finalizing the document for publication, which will be followed.
Can we know the topics that this document will cover?
Yeah, the very first topic that has been researched on has to do with mass offerings, honorarium, remunerations, and so forth. The background to this is some people felt that some priests are not well taken care of by the church, by the faithful. And some also felt that sometimes some people are denied services, denied sacraments or sacramentals because they are not able maybe to offer the money or what that is required for those services to be offered. So the bishop asked that we make this research then say, what is the canonical position? What's the spirit behind even this, the teaching of the canon law, and how can we better improve, in this area of taking care of our ministers, but also not to deny people of their rights and what they deserve, that is the sacraments and the other service.
I hope we'll get another chance to discuss this research once the documents are published and all that. But speaking of collaboration and also some of the issues that you said are coming up in the research to do with the priests, the National Synthesis documents mentions that some people have been afraid of this process, to say if it's open and if people speak openly, it will harm the church. Have you had any strong sentiments, and what can you say about some of these comments?
Yes. It is true that these sentiments have come up. Right from the beginning, actually, there were fears from some quarters to say, if we just open up people to say anything and everything, this is going to harm the church. And I remember one of our bishops, then Bishop Emeritus Albert Serrano, saying, let us be ready for anything and be prepared for anything. Those who love the church are going to speak positively and negatively. Those also who do not love the church, who hate the church, they are also going to speak. So let us be open and listen to them. And I believe, as Pope Francis says, he says, I prefer a church that is wounded.
In your honest opinion, do you think people have been open and spoken enough about the church?
People have spoken out openly. And in one of the meetings, that's the plenary assembly, the bishops, I remember one bishop saying, this is my first experience, and I think it is a fruit of the synodal process already, that people are able to speak out clearly and to clearly address these issues without fear. So already there is this culture now that people are able to openly and speaking truth in charity, I would say whatever they feel, they wish, or their desires or fears, or even their disappointments about the church. You look at the national document, the national synthesis, you are amazed at the honesty and the openness with which they address some of the issues that we would not openly talk about before.
Earlier on, you mentioned that one of the main aims of this would be to do with evangelization. And Pope Francis recently invited the church, to say we need to evangelize to those who have gone astray, those who have left the church, but even to, to the lapsed Catholics, those who, rarely come to Mass or maybe identify as Catholic, but are no longer active. Do you think this whole synodal process is give us pointers on how to deal with some of these problems or some of these endeavors we have to take as a church?
Yes, I think so. Since this process is basically a process of listening, we have also listened to those people who have left the church, some of whom are hurt and they are not happy with the church. Yeah. Yes, We have listened to those people. And the feedback is quite good. It is interesting to hear why those people are not happy with the church, why others have become indifferent. And I think, as the Pope says, this is a process. It's a process. So the first steps, or the first stage has started, that of listening. Already listening is evangelization. Listening is proclamation. You don't only evangelize by talking, but by listening as well. So already the evangelizing process has started by listening to those people and hearing their stories.
Okay. And now the process will now move to a continental stage. What are we to expect? And why? What impact does this have on the local church in Zimbabwe?
Yes. So the synodal process really is meant also to help us to journey together from the grassroots as the local church, and also to realize we are not just this local church here. We are a church that is also in communion with other churches at a regional, a continental level. So this process now is proceeding to the continental stage, where we have the continental document, enlarge the space of your tent. And we have availed the documents to people to look at it, to pray about it, to discern, and even to identify echoes and even some gaps. Then this is going to lead, or this has led already, to the continental process, where we've had 2 sessions already held at the continental level, and we're going to have then the 3rd and final session and the celebration of the continental stage in Ethiopia from the 1st to the 6th of March, where we're going to have some people participating also from Zimbabwe.
And who are these people?
Okay. We have been asked to contribute like as regions, like Imbisa, who will be represented by a number. Now I don't have the exact number of the people who go from the Imbisa region, but from Zimbabwe.
Lay, religious, bishops,
lay, religious, seminarians, novices, youth. So from Zimbabwe, we have been asked to contribute a lay woman, a religious brother, and a youth, a young man. So we have 3 who are representing Zimbabwe. I might be joining them, and then who will be 4 together with others from other conferences in the region.
Okay. Like I said earlier on, who is the church? You know, the definition, many people think that, you know, it's conveniently used. How well did the lay people, how well did the young people participate in this particular process?
Young people were invited to participate in the process. And I think right from the beginning, there was this enthusiasm from the young people. But as the process, proceeded and continued, we realized that the spirit also went down. Some participated right at the beginning and then just went quiet. But those who participated spoke, and they shared their views, their aspirations, their pains about the church. So the voices of the young people were certainly captured, but more could have spoken, could have done more. And particularly on their part, the youth also could have taken the initiative to participate more.
Mm-hmm. The young people will be going to the World Youth Day later on this year. How do you think this document can shape their participation?
Yeah, it's a great opportunity for young people to be part of this world event which will be held in Portugal. There is actually a process that the national office, the Youth National Office, is a program that it is running on missionary synodality. So there's a lot already that is going on the sidelines, or together taking advantage of this process and forming young people and listening to young people as we go on with the synodal process. So the program is actually promoting missionary synodality. Started already running last year, and is proceeding with Fr Mgcini, the national coordinator, leading the process. And I think this group now that is going to Portugal is also going to undergo some formation and accompaniment as they are going there, because they're not going there just for an event. They're pilgrims. They're going there as pilgrims. So there's formation that is going to be given to them before, during, and I believe even after Lisbon.
Pilgrims, you say. I hope the trend will not die down. And lastly, how can local parishes utilize this process, the framework that has been set? Obviously, there are going to be discussions on the Continental Stage. Bishops will meet on the Universal Stage with other people as well. But how can local parishes use the results, the discussions, the process, and the framework that has been set for this synodal process?
Wonderful. I actually share what the bishops themselves has asked us. They have asked us to do in their recent meetings. The bishops asked that parishes, deaneries, institutions, and all other groups make use of the national synthesis to identify those issues that were raised and to continue working, discussing and praying over those. And also to make use of the diocesan synthesis, and to make use also of those findings at those levels, the grassroots level, the small Christian community, the parishes, because there is a lot. There's a lot that is contained in those documents. So they have asked us to say, please, let us make use of these documents and the other documents, of course, from the Universal Church, like we have the Continental document, and by June we will be having the Instrumentum Laboris. So as we make use of what is coming from the Universal Church, we make use also of the findings of the local church.
Father Moyo, thank you very much. Any last words?
The synodal process is a process. And to really to have a culture of the synod, or to build a synodal culture, it will take time. So we have to work, but be patient with ourselves, knowing that this is a process, and a process that is ongoing. So as we work, let us also be patient with ourselves and do our best to build a more synodal church.
Thank you for coming on Catholic Focus. And there you have it. You can also share your views, experiences, and expectations from this synodal process in the comment section. And you can also write to us through our different channels. And remember to subscribe to our channels and to share this episode with friends and family. For now, it's bye.